now.
Alright. Do you want to do the intro? Should I?
No,
I guess I got it.
yeah, you kind of always do the intro.
Alright, sure. Hey, welcome to episode 8 of We Can't Code, So We Criticize. Woo woo. This is a weekly video game podcast between two friends. I'm Ben.
No, I'm Mike.
Fuck.
Is he smart like me? Keep it going.
Weekly podcast for video games. We have extremely biased opinions on our favorite video games, and we also do coverings for like week to week of what's coming out and stuff like that.
And that was our first standard introduction, and it went flawless.
Yeah, we just recorded our introduction like a second ago, and it turned out great. If you haven't heard it, it's on the YouTube channel, but you should check it out.
We did that, but I meant that we were trying to make a basic standard introduction to all these videos, and that one just went great.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's my first time reading. That's the most scripted this show is ever going to be, and obviously it just like.
What makes sense? So
Hi, I'm Mike.
Yeah. No, I'm Mike. All right. No, let's get this right. This is Mike right now. Who's talking?
Oh.
You're Ben.
Who am I?
You're Ben.
I'm having an existential crisis.
I love it though. Just like I absolutely love it.
Okay, so typically our first thing is we talk about our weeks, what we did, etc. Could be games, could be I saw a movie, I played a board game, whatever. So Mike, how was your week?
Oh, well, I did fuck all what I said I was going to do because, one, the game that I talked about last week, Flashpoint Fire Rescue, that was supposed to come out last week, but they pushed that to early next year. And then the game that I was interested in playing but was coming out early access, Death is Coming. It's a cute little puzzle game. So I looked it up to see when it came out, and it is out, but it doesn't say it's early access. And so I actually looked up the description of it, and the whole description now is like, hey, yeah, sorry, it's still early access. We just messed up, and we can't fix the early access now. So, but yeah, it's still early access, but the game just says it's fully out. I'm like, all right, that's just really weird that you can't fix that, or you made that big of a mistake. I mean, it's like one of your first games you're releasing. It's like, come on.
Are you early access or not? I'm getting very mixed signals here, video game.
And, but yeah, so I didn't play either of those, sadly. But I did get a board game called Mansion of Madness, the second edition.
I want to play this. It looks good.
Oh my god, it's so much fun. It's a cooperative game when you verse the board. And the game comes with its own app, which you just download on your phone, on your computer, or a tablet. And it basically is the D&D master of the game. And it kind of just tells you the story as you play. You have full control of your character, but the computer tells you what happens when you do these actions, and it spawns the monsters and stuff, and just keeps the story going. It does a really good job in doing it too.
So let's take a step back. It's a board game led through an app.
An app, yeah.
Okay, so you set up from how I was explained is it's like a procedurally generated board game. You've got a bunch of tiles that you flip over and reveal. I'm gonna move over to this room, and then you flip over the tile, and that.
No, you don't flip it over the tile. It just tells you what type of tile to put there.
Okay.
And it tells you what's in that tile. It tells you what can you search, and then there's even things where it says that door there doesn't exist. So there's actually a wall thing you put over doors to cover up places that they're not for doors that are not supposed to be there, and it's really just expansive, but. The game does such a good job in explaining how to play it while you're going through it. It's so easy to pick up.
Okay.
Because I just played one of them, and it comes with multiple scenarios, which is insane. There's 6 or 8, and we played on the lowest difficulty one, and we actually won. But my god, it was hard.
Can I be a human berserker in the game and kill dwarves?
Technically, no. Sadly, it has
this game is bullshit.
It has a huge amount of set characters. And you're allowed to pick your characters, but certain stories have a limited amount of characters you can pick. But you get to pick which ones you want to be, and each character has their own stats, like strength, lore ability, intelligence, and will. And it goes up to 4, and that's how many dice it goes up to 5, and that's how many dice you get to roll when you have to initiate on those abilities.
It's pronounced die, Mike.
Die, thank you.
Come on.
Dick. But,
I'm a grammar Nazi.
Wow, and I'm Jewish, you asshole. And each character has a special ability. But no, it's just great. The pieces that are with it are very well designed, and they don't feel flimsy at all. And there's I love the health mechanic in the game. Because in the game, you have a certain amount of health and a certain amount of sanity. and if you lose all of your health, you don't die instantly. You become wounded, and that just means that you can only move as half as space as you actually want to move. And then if you become insane, if you lose all of your sanity points, you become insane, and that means you get an insane card. And that card is something that you only read, and it has like a certain effect on you. Like, one, you can no longer talk in the game at all. You can't like talk to other players. You can't doing that, or it's like you get a new objective. Like, I became insane in the game we played, and my objective was that before you can complete the game, one of the other players must be wounded or insane, which I was both. I was wounded and insane. I was like, okay, cool, I can still beat the game then, because it says if you don't, you lose, which doesn't make sense. But you're insane, so it doesn't matter.
I want to get like an insane card and have it be like, you've got to wear your underwear outside your pants for the rest of the game.
I haven't read them all though, because I don't want to, because it's like, because the effect of that is because you can't tell the players, they don't know like what's going on with you, and like if you have another goal or something like that that's against theirs.
You have to start and end every sentence with "It's Muffin Monday." I'm insane.
Really hope that there's something like that.
It's Muffin Monday, everyone. By the way, roll the dice. It's Muffin Monday.
And it's like it's so complex, but it does such a good way of delivering it that it's easy to play for anyone, and that's why I love it. And the set pieces, like I said, are great.
All right.
But yeah, so I played that.
I want to play. It's up to 5 people, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it goes up to, I think, maybe a little bit more, but I think it's up to 5 in the end. Yeah. And then I played some PUBG, of course, with 2 of my buddies.
Yeah. Well, just to reiterate, just to go back on that game that we were just describing, I feel like we only say it once and then we talk about it for a couple minutes.
It's called, that is a good point.
Mansions of Madness.
Mansion of Madness, and it's the 2nd edition. They just came with some DLC for it, too, where you can buy more for it. And but yeah, it is seriously a lot of fun, and I highly suggest, even if you don't like D&D, get this game. My girlfriend's not even into that, and she had a blast playing it. And it's a great way also, I feel like, to get into D&D, because it has the exact same feel to it, I feel like.
Okay.
And it's just so much fun, and it just very beautiful board as well, and just how it's all put together is just wonderful.
Okay.
It seems complicated when you unpack it, but as soon as the game starts, it all makes sense then.
Yeah, if it comes with an app, I feel like that's pretty easy to follow.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems like a cool marriage of, like, physical and digital information.
And the rules are much more solid in it. Because remember that, there's that one board game that you have. It's like Mansion of something.
It's Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Betrayal at House on the Hill. That game is a lot of fun, but some of the rules are just very loose, too, in it. That's why I'm not too much a fan of it, but I still love playing it. Is that some of the rules are not... They're not always solid. And even in the rule book, it says, like, hey, sometimes you just have to decide, on that game how to do it.
It's a team vote sometimes.
Yeah, it's a team vote. Yeah, which I think is fine. But I like it about the Mansion of Madness. It's like it's pretty solid and straightforward in what you like and the rules, which is nice. But yeah, so I played that, and then like I said, I played PUBG. Did a few rounds, didn't win yet. Didn't get chicken dinner. Still had fun though.
Yeah,
still a good game.
I mean, all the weeks I've been playing, I never got number 1 yet.
Yeah, I saw one of my friends is duo, and it was like 50 wins, 50 tries, 0 wins. Like, that's heartbreaking to see. But then I also of course played with you, which is obviously what's going to be on what you did during the week is, well, what we played for the past few days, 7 Days to Die.
Yep, 7 days to fucking die.
God, that game came so much fun all of a sudden again. We played how many hours last night?
We played 9 hours yesterday.
9 hours yesterday, and I want to play more.
I know. I had that small... I was talking about Mario Odyssey like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, I'm talking about Mario Odyssey, I just want to play more Mario Odyssey. Like, that is such a small, minute feeling in comparison to my feeling to, like, I want to play 7 Days to Die for the next 3 days, you know?
Oh, yeah. Today's my girlfriend's birthday, and I woke up a little sad, because I was like, I'm not going to be able to play 7 Days to Die today.
Says who, Mike?
It's like, I really want to play that game. Because we just got that point where, we have our own separate goals now, and there are, like, big goals to do and all that stuff, and it's, I want to play.
Here's what's going to happen. She knows that we're doing our podcast today, your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Let's just end the podcast now. 15-minute 7-minute podcast.
7 minutes.
And then we got an hour and 45 minutes of 7 Days to Die right there, bud, All right, have a good one. Have a good week, guys.
All right, bye. That's the end of the podcast. It's so tempting, but no. So yeah, that was my week though, and it was also my birthday is like 2 days from now, so we had a birthday thing for me and my girlfriend Friday. You were there. It was a blast. We all had fun. Kicked your ass in beer pong.
Yeah, I got destroyed.
And I played him against solo, and he had a team, and I still won. Yeah, I was pretty happy.
It's easier to play solo.
You know it is, because you get more chance to get used to it.
You get to hone your skills.
I'm just bragging because it's usually impossible to beat you, because you're always, every single time Ben shows up to a party and there's beer pong, he nails it every single time. He's always reigning champion. It's stupid.
I've grown weak in my old age. 26 years old.
But that was my week. How about you?
It was good.
What'd you play?
So you talked about 7 Days to Die already. Okay. So I'll
start with it again.
I'll start with that just to like briefly go over it. But I did do some other stuff. So 7 Days. If you're unsure what the game is, it's kind of like Minecraft in the sense that it's like crafting and creation. But the differences are that it's not specifically like cubes. It's a lot more realistic looking. I mean, it is cubes in some senses, but they definitely try to like work with the graphics a bit more.
Yeah, so it looks realistic. They're trying to go with human realistic graphics.
But if, like, for example, when you're like punching a block in Minecraft, if you're like punching dirt, you just see like it slowly start to crack and then it breaks into a block. In 7 Days to Die, what they do is they actually show degradation, where if you're digging a hole in the ground, the hole isn't just a square. Like, you'll dig and then it'll like
make a dent.
It'll have a depression in the ground,
and you can actually walk in that depression too. It's not just still a square, a physical square. No, that indentation is actually there, which is nice.
But they also throw in, the reason that it's called 7 Days to Die is because it's also a zombie game. So along with the like, you're alone, there's no one else there, along with the survival aspect of just like, you have to make your own fort, your own shelter, make your own food, stay hydrated, all that.
Yeah, because at night the zombies become stronger.
Yeah, you have to worry about zombies on top of all that stuff.
So basically at night you're not outside.
But it's really cool because it's also an online game, and there's just a fuck ton. This guy's been making this game for like 5 years or something now, and it's just been polished beyond all belief. Oh, yeah. It's really fun.
It's still early access. It's my favorite early access out there, and it still needs some work, but it is a solid game. It's only one of the few games that's on early access that I would suggest people buy to get.
Yeah. And I mean, that's coming from Mike, who, I mean, if you've listened to our previous episodes, he's like,
I'm not a fan of early access. Yeah. But I got you sidetracked because you're describing why it's called 7 Days to Die. It's called 7 Days to Die because every 7th night in the game, all of the zombies know where you are, and during that whole night, they just come straight for you.
Yeah, they do what's called a red moon on every 7th day, and it spawns a horde of zombies outside your base, and they, like, sometimes you can hide from them where they don't know that you're there, but on the 7th day,
they know no matter what.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter where you are.
You can be, like, under the ground, or you can be way in the sky, and the zombies know exactly where you are. And what they do is if they can't reach you, they'll destroy your
any
base.
Way to the path. Any quickest way to the path, they'll destroy to get to you that way.
And the game has, like, some built-in physics, where if you're, like, on the top floor of a skyscraper, if they destroy the main floor, the building's gonna come crashing down. So, like, it's pretty cool.
That's what we should do. We should destroy that skyscraper next time we play.
That would be cool.
Just take out the whole bottom layer. We have steel pickaxes now and dynamite.
That would take forever. Oh man, any reason to use dynamite, I would be down.
I mean, just saying, it's like we're already reaching that point where we're basically have a solid base. We need another goal. Taking down a whole skyscraper would be fun.
Yeah. Well, we'll probably be playing this game for the next week, so I'm sure that you'll hear about this in the following episode. But yeah, so that's 7 Days to Die. If you are a PC fan, look into it. It also released on Xbox One and PS4. I think they actually even have physical copies of the game.
I heard the graphics are really terrible, though, in the console ones, though, compared to the PC.
And also it's like, I feel like it's playing Minecraft on console. Like, it's hard to find, I would think, it's hard to find the specific thing you're trying to craft. Yeah. Like, the menu just makes sense for computer.
Oh, yeah. Just because there's so much you can make. There's no, like in Minecraft where you have to physically put things to make. This one is you just have to have the materials, and you just look it up and you just build it.
Yeah, you don't have to, like,
There's
organize.
no hidden schematics, anything like that.
Yeah, you don't have to organize things in a grid.
You can see everything you can make, unless you're 2 level or you didn't read the book to make it yet. But yeah, you know how to make it.
Yeah, but so aside from that, I did play The Witcher 2 more. I promised I would.
Oh yeah, how's that going?
It's going a lot better. So I played the tutorial the first time, and I didn't really give it a good freshman try. Honestly, I just kind of like picked it up for 30 minutes and then dropped it before we had to do our podcast. So
yeah,
I didn't want to sound like I was completely discouraged the first time, but it was like the tutorial's the only part that I had ever played before, and so I got to it again, and it was just like, cool, it's the same shit I've done before. So now it's been a week since then. I actually got into some stuff. I actually got into the open world, and I actually got to do things that I haven't done in the game before, and I think it's really good. Definitely my opinion's changed of it. The one thing I've noticed though is that like it is having really bad performance on my computer. The game crashes, and like a lot of times, I think it's happened 3 times just in the last week, but I lose a lot of my save data and I've got to redo a bunch of quests.
That sucks, especially for Witcher.
There's a lot of talking and a lot of travel in it, so it is really frustrating.
And Ben actually has a brand new computer. This computer that you play off of was made just not even last year, wasn't it? It's pretty still under a year old.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, I've got a GeForce 1070, which that's been out for a little bit. But yeah, I just made my computer. So it's not a hardware issue on my side. It's definitely like a port issue or something.
Yeah, it's just the programming, sadly. That blows.
So like that stinks because like Mike was saying, in a game like The Witcher 2, like I have to save constantly because I'm just gonna lose like 30 minutes of time.
And that's just so crushing just to lose all that. It's one of those things that actually like. It's one of those things that can make you just stop playing the game. It's like, I can't just go through that again.
Yeah, and it happened 3 times, and I've got to say that as much as I like the game, like, if it happens a couple more times, I still might just be, like, done with this. Because I'll give the pros of the game in a second, but, it's just really hard to, like, do the same shit over and over again,
it's not fun.
Yeah.
It's cool the first time, I bet you that it's wonderful, but this knowing that it's, like, especially since it's a story game, it's like you want to try to do the exact thing you did before to continue that storyline that way.
Mm-hmm. But, okay, so the pros for the game are, initially, when I was talking about this last week, I was saying that the menus are really difficult to get in and out of, and they still are, but knowing what I'm doing now, it's a lot easier when you're in combat to manage that, to pick the right spells. Granted, I'm only using, like, 3 out of the 6 spells that I have, but like I actually know like what some of the signs are, you know, like there's one that's like Agni or something, and initially when you first go to the tutorial you're like, okay, because I'm gonna remember that means like shield protection or something. I had the same
feeling too when I first saw that. I was like, what?
Yeah, they give you all these weird, they look like Nordic words, and it's just like, okay, because that's you know, my fire move, I guess, or whatever, but you get it, you know. After a while you're like, okay, I remember that this one does this and whatnot.
It's a very interesting way of doing it.
But the menus, like your inventory and getting like items out of your carrying capacity, I guess, that's still kind of frustrating. But I mean that's like you've gotta watch your weight, and you've gotta watch like your carrying capacity a lot, and so it's kind of frustrating because you've got to talk to like, you know, the shopkeep or whatever, and he'll be like, you're looking for some wares, and then you sell your stuff, and then you buy his stuff, and you're like, oh shit, you know, I also have this other stuff, and then you gotta re-enter the menu. He's like, you're looking for some wares, and you're like, I am looking for some fucking ware, you know.
I just talked to you 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a certain amount of interactiveness that, like, the world feels alive. It's good. Like, it's really good. The world feels great. But at the same time, being an RPG, like, it just takes a while to do everything. Mm-hmm. Like, just organizing your inventory, you know, it, like, takes a while. And then your game crashes and you've got to do it all over again.
Yeah.
But no, so, like, well, going off of that, the world does feel alive. So, like, even though the menus are still frustrating, like, moving in and out of the town, like, if you talk to everyone, it's not that, like, I played Mario Odyssey 2 weeks ago, and whenever you, like, talk to anyone on the side, they're just like, oh, it's a mighty cold day out today or something, and it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Is that what you're doing on this corner? You're just telling every fucking person that walks by that it's a mighty cold day? It's like, it's like they tried with their interactiveness, but in comparison to, like, you know, it actually shows, it's good juxtaposition to follow that game up with The Witcher 2, and like you go into a bar and you talk to some guys, and then they're all like arm wrestling, and they're like, hey, you should join us, and then you arm wrestle like 4 guys at that table, and then you go downstairs and there's brawling in the bar, and then you brawl, and then there's a guy in the corner and he's playing like some liar's dice or something. Like the bar feels alive. It's really cool.
Yeah,
and then like
feels like it's not just built for you; it's actually built for the characters in it. Wow.
Yeah, like they're all doing their own thing, and then the people that are standing in the corner or whatever, like you come back to them in later missions, and they're like, "Hey, do you know Dimitri?" And he's like, "Yeah, I run with Dimitri's crew." Like everyone's there for a specific reason, even if it is for a quest that's down the road. And once again, I'm only 7 hours in, which that sounds like a long time, but I haven't even left the first town yet. Like, this game supposedly is huge.
No, yeah, so you're still in the first town where I stopped in, too.
Yeah.
Because I went out for a bit, and I was trying to get back to that town. That's where I got fucked by the ghost.
Ghost fuck.
I'm just saying, if you call the guy and say, hey, I need some help. My brother's stuck in this ruin here. Don't help him.
Well, he's a ghost. Why would I help him?
No, he's not a ghost. He's just, like... His friend is fucked, alright? That's all I gotta say. His friend is fucked. Call him dead, alright? Just don't help him.
I'm a helpful dude. I'm a witcher.
Yeah, I was a helpful dude and I got raped, alright? It doesn't help.
Okay, so that's The Witcher 2. It's to summarize, it's looking a lot better. I do wish it ran better on my computer, but that's just a port issue, I think. Like, you might not experience that. I am. But otherwise, like, I think that the series is good. I'm really excited to get around to The Witcher 3, but I mean that could be in like a year or something.
Luckily it's single player, so it's not like there's no rush to do it.
Yeah, know? Definitely. And then the last thing that I did was I rewatched a movie that I watched in
Vampires?
Yeah, my favorite James Cameron's Vampires, the best movie in the world.
Yeah.
No, the movie that I did rewatch, it was probably one of my favorite movies of this whole year. It's called Baby Driver.
Oh, yeah, I need to see that movie.
Yeah, I actually just watched it earlier today, and we were watching it, and I was like, man, I like, you watch it, and you're like, I remember why I really liked this movie, but, it's by Edgar Wright, the guy that did Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Oh, yeah.
He did a bunch of stuff, but, so Edgar Wright did it, and if you know Edgar Wright, he does a lot of, like, really, the movies are very synchronized to like music or to theme. Like I think in Shaun of the Dead, whenever he's like going to the store, coming back from work or whatever, it does like the shoot, 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 shoot. Like it shows
and
like
he does an action to that sound and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's like 3 quick sequences of like, Sean's getting out of bed. It's like toothbrush, toothpaste on the toothbrush, and it's like shave, then it's like shower real quick. And it's all in like 1 second, and then like he does a really cool thing with like describing
a mundane thing that we all know.
Exactly. And this movie definitely, like, it doesn't do necessarily the mundaneness, because that was more Shaun of the Dead's thing. Yeah. But what it does is it syncs up everything to music, and the soundtrack is just bomb.
I gotta see this.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've been wanting to see it, and then I just... I forgot why I couldn't see it last time. I got, like, busy or something.
Yeah.
But I need to definitely catch that.
Well, I mean, like, how many good driving movies come out lately? The last one I remember is, like, Ryan Gosling in Drive, and that came out, like, 6 years ago in 2011.
Fast and Furious?
Oh, yeah, Fast and the Furious. But, I mean, that's like comparing apples to Jesus Christ. I mean, you can't look at any driving movie and be like, yeah, this is okay to Vin Diesel. No, Vin Diesel is God. You do not compare anything to Vin Diesel. No.
I do like Vin Diesel in a lot of his movies, though. He's great in horror, too, as well. He's in Pitch Black. Good movie.
But yeah, so Baby Driver is just a really good movie. Go see it. It's out on DVD, Blu-ray, all that stuff.
Oh, is it? Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I'll pick it up. I've been trying to grow my DVD collection. So every time I go to Walmart, every time I do go to Walmart, I check out the DVD section, especially the Blu-ray, because now like Blu-ray's like under $10, which is just perfect then. I'm like, yeah. So I've been just getting movies as been going on. Like, I found Dune for $7.50. Like, motherfucker, yeah.
Why would you buy Doom the movie?
No, Dune.
Oh, Dune.
Dune, sorry.
Okay.
D-U-N-E, the old one, just with the sand people and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Love that movie, and I found it on Blu-ray for $7.50. I was like, holy crap, yes.
Okay, I thought you said Doom, the live action, and I was
that was a good movie, too. That was a good laugh movie.
No.
Dude, it's good to sit down and watch. I'm not saying it's Oscar or anything like that, but if you just want to turn off your brain, Doom is a good one to watch.
If I want to turn off my brain, I'll put a bullet through it. Someone hands me a loaded handgun and a copy of Doom on standard non-widescreen DVD. I'll take the gun.
Put that in the back of the box.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, that was my week. 7 Days to Die, Witcher 2, and Baby Driver. Yeah. I really didn't have too much else to add to that. Did you have anything? Should we get in top 5?
Yeah. I didn't really see any movies. Like I bought John Wick on Blu-ray. Watched that again. Still good.
Yeah, I saw that with you. That's really good
came
movie.
Over. Yeah, that's right. Love it. But yeah, that was basically it though. I've been mostly busy just getting the thing together for the birthday party. So yeah, we can go over to the top 5 now.
Sure. Mike, this is clearly a top 5 catered to you, so you can go ahead and start. But the top 5 this week are puzzle games, or as Mike would put it, cute little puzzle games.
Cute. I like them.
But yeah, what are your favorite overall puzzle games?
So I've kind of focused on it to make it simpler for me, just to kind of like puzzles and their mechanics too at the same time, because that's how I kind of made my list. It's like either there was just a really good puzzles that went in it, or I had a very interesting mechanic that I fully enjoyed in the puzzle. That's how I kind of based off my list, and this was not easy for me because I love puzzles. They're cute. But no, I just have a huge list of puzzles I love playing, and each of them have their own unique taste that makes them a good game. And for me to separate them was kind of difficult, so it's like this is my top 5, but in the end they're all like I all love them in their own ways. But to start off, for number 5 would be Trine, or is it Trine or Trine?
Trine.
Trine. Trine 1 and Trine 2, because the second one exactly like the first one, just more puzzles and stuff. But Trine is the basic of that game is that you're 3 people that are stuck together in one body, but they each can take over the body and become their own physical self. These 3 people are a warrior, a wizard, and an assassin woman.
Yeah, like a rogue or something.
Yeah, rogue would be a better term for her.
Yeah.
And each of them has their own unique ability. The warrior is really strong and has a shield that he can block any direction, and he also can do physical attacks to people. Well, they actually all can do physical damage to people. And so he's kind of more of a guy that, you need to use him for weighing things down sometimes or pushing things.
Yeah, he's like blunt force.
Yeah, blunt force. Then there's the wizard. The wizard, his abilities are to actually summon blocks, and he can even summon platforms too. And he can also make platforms hover. And I think he also can it's been a while since I played it, but yeah, I think he also can pull other stuff too, but only very certain specific type of things. And so he's fun because you actually make the squares with your mouse, and then the square shows up. Or if you make a line, the platform shows up. And he's a really fun character because you can spawn him wherever you want, so you can crush enemies with him. But he's there to combine platforms or to make boxes to push some buttons. And it's really just a good one. And he's a fun character. The other one's the rogue. She has a bow, and that bow can shoot different types of arrows, I believe. I know for sure fire. And then she also gets a grappling hook, as Ben was doing a Spider-Man pose in front of me.
Yeah, I don't know why I went with the Spider-Man pose, but I was trying to subtly reference to Mike. I was like, hey, don't forget the grappling hook. No. And I did the Spider-Man, devil horn sign.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
But rogue is also Spider-Man. Spoilers.
She shoots a hook from her wrist, and then she can swing back and forth and even do full circles too. But, that swing, you get her momentum to get across large things. And the controls in are very tight in the game, where you can make the wizard make a bunch of platforms and jump on them as they're falling down to get across places. The warrior is really good with fighting enemies. It's fast and responsive with him. And with the rogue, the whip swinging is so much fun to do because you can just keep on swinging throughout the level, throughout certain points, and it's very easy to be accurate with. It's very accurate and easy to control too, which makes everything very smooth. And I just really enjoyed just combining all 3 in separate things to combine the puzzle that throughout as you play the game. And so that's my number 5 is Trine and Trine 2, because once again Trine 2 was like the first one, just more levels and stuff.
Yeah, it's more of the same. The game's core mechanics don't change where you play as those 3 characters.
Yeah, it's the exact same 3 characters. There's co-op and there's multiplayer where you can have up to 3 people playing. And it's really smooth. It doesn't get chaotic at all, but you can play by yourself and still have fun. The game was still built on a single player, but playing with other people doesn't ruin it too as well, which is very interesting. My number 4 is Portal and Portal 2. Everyone knows it. If you don't, I'm very shocked. It's a Valve game base game is that you have a portal gun where you can put down 2 portals that connect to each other, and then the game is just based off of you getting from point A to point B in each section. And you're basically, the storyline is you're a test subject, and you're just doing all these tests for this anonymous machine that's watching over you, and to get the cake. The main goal is to get the cake. But yeah, you're just running these tests to be a good subject, and in the end, hoping to get a cake at the end.
It's like Mario. Mario, I've made you a cake. Please come over.
But
all right.
For a very simple mechanic, it's very well done, and it's always interesting to go into a new space trying to figure out how to do it. Portal 2 added co-op. There's a co-op section and a main story section. The main story section is still really good, and the co-op section is its own thing, and that one's actually very well done as well. It's a lot of fun. And so that's my number 4, Portal, and of course Portal 2. Number 3 is Legend of Grimrock. I talked about this game already before in one of our later podcasts. I forgot which one that was in. But this one is a story of you're 4 prisoners, but you're all connected by the chains, so you all have to move together. It's a RPG style game, and there is fighting, but the majority of it is also puzzles. And it was one of those games where the puzzles were just so unique in it, and just like these hidden things that you had to find yourself, and like these clues that you find to help you do it was just so well put together that I never felt like I was like my hand was being held throughout the whole entire game. It felt like solid, challenging puzzles. And I just fully respected the game for that. And it also had a very nice look to it. But once again, my list is not kind of based off of looks, just like the puzzles. And the puzzles in this games, man, like after I was done, I didn't care about fighting the monsters. That's not what I thought back about. I thought about like all the cool puzzles I had to do throughout the game, which is like just exploring, coming across in them, and then thinking back of what I found to use that to like realize, oh, this is for this type of puzzle and stuff. It was just so good and like well placed. It seemed so realistic too. But yeah, that's why it's higher than Portal and Trine though, just for that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so those are my bottom 3: Trine 2, Portal 2 of course, and Legend of Grimrock.
All right, I can get into mine. So my bottom 3. So I feel like I always give some sort of like a pretext to these, but it makes sense because it helps. I think it helps define like why I choose these titles.
No, yeah.
I
want to know, and I'm sure everyone wants to know why you pick it that way too.
Yeah, like there's a certain theme. So aside from games that I haven't played, obviously I'm not going to choose those. There's also reasons that I pick the ones that I do. So I hope that I don't come across as a broken record where whenever I start my top 5, I always say, first let me say this.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter.
So anyway, with these puzzle games, I was trying to define what exactly is a puzzle game, because a lot of these, like sometimes, like Hearthstone, for example, or like League of Legends or something, like strategy and puzzle, are they the same? Are they different? Like, how do you say, like, oh, Hearthstone is a puzzle game, or is it more strategic? Is it not a puzzle game at all? So the way that I defined it is that you have to be able to win and you have to be able to lose. So there's a specific solution that you must find for each problem, meaning that any story games, like Telltale games, like The Walking Dead, something like that, they didn't make it onto my list because games with multiple endings, even though there might be a distinct good ending, it's technically not considered a loss if you don't do everything right or if all the other endings are available.
And that's actually something I was very interested about too when I was doing this. I was like, what is considered a puzzle game nowadays?
Yeah.
It's like, because like, that is a good way of looking at it. If you don't have to do anything, like in those games, and you still win, is that really a puzzle? So
well,
yeah,
you can still beat the game.
Yeah,
and I think that no, like a puzzle game is you have to be able to finish the puzzle. I mean,
like, there's a challenge. You can't just bypass the challenge, and if you lose, you have to do it again.
Yeah, like I was gonna say that Life is Strange or The Wolf Among Us were really good games, but they're not like they're good atmospheric and storytelling games, but I wouldn't consider them a puzzle. Like there's certain ways to beat the game like in a more enthusiastic way, but that's not like it's a puzzle to find that way out, but the game itself isn't a puzzle.
Yeah.
So anyway, like there in all of my top 5, it's just games that have specific concrete solutions to them.
Interesting.
So number 5 is purely just because it's classic, and that's Tetris. Tetris has been reimagined 100 times over. I had it. I used to do wildfire fighting, and like I spent a lot of time.
So badass.
Yeah, well, I spent a lot of time just like on my phone trying to, because I didn't have cell service or anything. So I was like, okay, what's a game I can play? I don't need like internet connection, and so I picked up Tetris, and Tetris was just awesome. Like it's a game that you're always trying to get better at, and it's just like. It has all those classic elements of just like, oh, everything is picking up and how can I improve? How can I like be faster at the game, and etc. etc. Like Tetris is just classic, and that's why I picked it. Number 4, Mike and I have the same one, but mine's Portal 2. Portal's just a really good series. The reason that I picked Portal 2 and Portal 1 is because they're unique. Mm-hmm. I think just in terms of which one I liked more, I think Portal 2, because it felt like a more full game. But realistically, they're both unique. They both have that that whole like dimension, or where you're changing like the geometry of a room, where you put portals on either side, and it just.
Yeah, because it's amazing that it's such a simple mechanic, but there's so much that the game makes you do with the portals that you never really thought of at first, that you would think of.
Yeah, exactly. And there's never been a real experience like Portal before Portal. And so that's why number 4, it comes in and it's unique. The reason that it is number 4, though, and not higher, is because I found the puzzles to be not the most difficult, but on top of that, too, it was definitely more of an adventure and I
agree.
Game.
No, that's why it wasn't high on my list either. It's like, it's still a very well polished game, but as a puzzle, it's still a pretty simple puzzle.
Yeah, game. Like its main focus wasn't to puzzle someone. It definitely was more story centric. The puzzles were a big part of it, definitely. Mm-hmm. But it still felt like I wouldn't consider it first and foremost puzzle game.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised that we were at the same point. Honestly, I thought you were going to put Portal like number 1 or something like that, and I thought I was going to be the odd one out with that, but I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
On that alone.
But once again, I mean, because this is a puzzle-specific game, I'm relating every game not to the merit of the game itself. I mean, Portal would be higher up there, but because it's just based on the puzzle itself, that's why Portal's number 4. Number 3, I'm actually not going to talk about too much because I hardly remember it. This is more of a nostalgic type of puzzle game. It's been 18 years since I played it, so I was like 7 or 8 since I played it. But the game's called Riven, and it's a sequel to Myst.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's essentially Myst 2.
I always wanted to get into those, but I never did.
Mm-hmm. So Myst 1 is really good. Super, super good. And I don't even know why I picked Riven over Myst, because I remember Myst more than Riven, but at the same time, like it's nostalgic. It's purely nostalgic. Mm-hmm. Like I said, there was just like I played it when I was 8, so I was really young. I played it with my father and with my dad.
Okay, you played with someone.
Okay. Well, no, it's not an online game. I played with my.
No, I mean you played next to someone. I tried playing that game by myself when I was 8, and I like missed one. I was like, I can't do this. This game is stupid hard.
Yeah, sorry. I meant to say I played with my father and my brother, and like it was a family thing.
That's
essentially.
Awesome. Yeah, you need more than one person to play Myst. That game is complex.
Yeah,
those puzzles are not. Hey, those puzzles are super hard. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I just wanted to correct myself before we went off, because I said my father and my dad, and I was like, oh, I sound like an idiot. So no, I played with my father and my brother, and I was like 8. I was the youngest of the group, and so I was just kind of like there to like for moral support. I mean, what 8-year-old is gonna figure out a puzzle before like his older brother and whatnot?
Especially those puzzles. Like Myst is one of those like, damn, it's hard.
Well, yeah, and that's what's really cool about it, is if you haven't played any of the Myst series, like back in the day, you had like your little like notepad next to the computer, and you were writing down like theories and whatnot, and it just like it felt like a game that was very outside of the game. Like you took that puzzle to work with you, and you're like, okay, this isn't gonna work. This might work. That might work. Like
you have to write down like every single thing you see. You have to write down, because you have no idea like when that's going to be used in. It can be like the first thing you saw in the game could be for a puzzle that's like 5 or 6 puzzles down the road.
Yeah, and you definitely have to like go back and like rethink certain things. I do remember there's one thing in Riven where you have to find like, God, once again, I was 8 when I played this. Like I was super young, but I think that there's a thing where you have to find like certain shapes in the environment. Like you have to look at something. There was one where it's like you're on the waterfront, and then like there's this cave or something that kind of like comes out of the water, but then the reflection in the cave, like as it looped back around to the water and made a full reflection, it like made a certain symbol or a shape, and like that was the answer to another puzzle. And it's like, how would anyone think about that?
It's exactly like that. It's like why I never could beat that when I was 8 years old.
Yeah, and no, it was just fun because it was like a month game where, you know, I came back from school and so did my brother, and my dad came back from work, and, you know, we'd all group up and we'd be like, okay, I think this is the answer. And we'd all pull out, like, our notepads and be like, okay, I think if we do this first and then this, you know. So, once again, nice. I'm being very ambiguous with how I'm describing Riven because I hardly remember it. But you can still, as a nostalgic game, I can still remember how I felt playing it. And it was like, those games are hard as fuck.
Yeah.
And definitely, like, at the beginning, when like walkthroughs and stuff, I'm sure you could find them online, but it wasn't as easy as going to Google and typing in like, oh, missed walkthrough or something. Like you couldn't just find the answer whenever you wanted to. It was very difficult to do that. Like it was a game that you just relentlessly couldn't give up on. You had to figure it out yourself. And so that's why it sits comfortably in the middle there at number 3, Riven.
Yep, and then that's interesting. So what was your list again?
So my from 5 to 3, number 5 is Tetris, number 4 is Portal 2, number 3 is Riven.
Nice. Yeah, just that's actually kind of like I wish I did that too for a miss because I really wanted to play it, but as a kid I just did not know how to get through that game. It was so beautiful though.
They've made masterpiece editions where they haven't updated the graphics a ton, but it looks better.
That. I'm thinking about getting it.
You can even get it on your phone, I think. I mean,
oh yeah, for sure. But I'm one of those people that doesn't like apps on his phone, though.
Sure.
I'm one of those rarities. But back to the top 5, though.
Still hard as all hell.
I probably won't be able to do it even today. My number 2 is called Antichamber. And Antichamber
good game.
You played it.
I didn't beat it, but yeah.
I actually beat it, and it is... It's a game where there's no story to it. It knows it's a puzzle game, and it treats itself as a puzzle game. You get a unique gun that can collect blocks and stuff, and you can shoot blocks out with it. But there is 1,000 more different puzzles in this game, and it just blew away with it. It doesn't hold your hand, but I felt like the challenge was just perfect. I thought the challenge... Oh, okay, we're good? Okay, sweet. I thought the challenge was just perfect and all that stuff. But I don't know how to describe Antichamber. Can you think of anything how to describe it?
It's I would say to start off, the graphics are really abstract. I mean, everything is just 90-degree angles. The only thing that's a bit more complex is the gun that you hold, but everything else is just like there's no texture to anything. Everything is all bright colors, or it's just completely void of color. It doesn't try to be anything that it isn't, I guess. The same way that we were describing how, like, Portal 2 has a story, and it's got a little... Like, I wouldn't consider it purely a puzzle game.
Yeah.
Like, that's the difference between Portal and Antichamber, is that Antichamber is definitely 100% a puzzle game.
Yeah, it's like, you only have one way to do it, and, like, some of the ways are mind-bending, too. Because I remember thinking one of them was, like, you walk one way, but you can't make any progress. The only way to make progress going that way is if you walk backwards. And that's how you make progress in one part in the game. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's how the game, a good way of explaining how the rest of the game is, because, like, some puzzles are, like, not that, but they are, and there's just so many different types of puzzles in this one game that it was so much fun for me just to play through it and sit down. I never really got frustrated. It was a very soothing puzzle game to play.
That's right. Yeah, I haven't played it in 2 years, but what Mike is getting at is that a lot of the puzzles are perspective based.
Yeah.
Where you have to be looking a certain way, or you've got to be acting a certain way with your character. You know, like looking at the ground and moving forward, or moving backwards, or like staring at a
certain object a certain way.
Yeah, exactly. And like there'll be like doors in the middle of the room that you can walk fully around them, but if you enter the door, it opens you up into like a new room or something. Like it's very much like more than meets the eye type of game. It really fucks with like physics.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. And if you're actually just a person that enjoys puzzle games, definitely pick up Antichamber. There's no real like urgency in the game. Like there's no enemies you run into at all, which is nice too as well. It's just a very solid puzzle game with all the stuff that's in it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's my number 2, Antichamber. Definitely, if you love puzzle games, pick up Antichamber. Pick
good.
up all the games I've talked about, honestly. They're all good.
Antichamber is good. It's super hard. I got frustrated with it. I told myself I wasn't going to look up a walkthrough.
Yeah.
And I should have looked up a walkthrough because I just stopped playing.
I actually didn't. I was very proud of myself. When I buy puzzle games, my main goal is to never look up a walkthrough.
Yeah.
And I am a little sad, though. I did that with Legend of Grimmack, and I felt so bad after I did it. I was like, if I just tried this one thing, I would have gotten it then without looking it up. But yeah, it's like, that's my number 1 goal. Every single time I get a puzzle game, is like, I'm never allowed to do a lookup on them. At all. But that's my number 2, Antichamber.
Yeah. So, my number 2 is this small little series called The Room. And so what it is you're presented with a box. And all it is just like you're looking at the box different ways and whatnot, and the box slowly opens and kind of reveals more and more to itself. In the center of the box is like a secret, and so that's the thing, is just getting to the middle of the box. But on each side of the box is a puzzle, and then, you know, obviously the more that you unfold the box and it kind of opens up more, like the more complex the puzzles become, the more surface area there is on the box. And it's just a really interesting game. Once again, kind of like Antichamber, it's just purely a puzzle game. And that's kind of the moving forward theme with our top 5, I hope, with Mike at least. But just that, you know, as we get to our number 2s and number 1s, like, these games, they couldn't possibly be described as anything other than a puzzle game.
Yeah.
So, The Room, Mike, do you mind checking the price?
It's only $4.99.
Yeah, so the game is only $5 standard price. When I picked it up,
pick it up. Honestly, it looks really fun.
When I picked it up last year, I got it on a Steam sale for $1.
Nice.
And there's The Room 2.
Yeah, I saw that.
And that one is the same exact price. Yeah, and once again, it was $1 when I picked it up. Now, I haven't played The Room 2 yet. I've been holding off on it. But it's once again the same kind of setup. Is you're just presented with an object, and you just have to slowly get to the center of it, essentially, if I remember correctly. I haven't played it, so I can't say that 100%, but I feel like it's pretty much the same exact game, where it's just you slowly open up this object more and more, and, you know, things that you may not have noticed on previous puzzles suddenly come back and are relevant in, you know, a puzzle that's like 3 tiers into the box or something.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's my number 2, is The Room. And the reason I put it at number 2 is because it is a puzzle game, but also I think it's a perfect amount of difficulty. As Mike was saying with Antichamber, he didn't look up anything with Antichamber. I didn't look up anything with The Room. I thought that was just a very, like, that suited my, it pushed me to my limits in terms of my problem solving.
My number top one is just it's kind of an interesting one. I'm kind of surprised I put this one on my type 1 at the same time, but I own this game, but I never actually finished it all the way through, and it's called Tiny and Big Grandpa's Leftovers. And it's a very interesting style puzzle game where you're given, it's a third-person game it's a game where you play third-person view, and you have a certain weapon that cuts through anything. It cuts through any type of object, basically. And you also have the ability to adjust, shoot thrusters out and add thrusters to certain things and shoot them off. And it's the reason why it's in my top 5, because when I played it, it was just the most interesting way I've ever played a puzzle game before, where I can destroy anything on the level, but I still had a certain objective to get to. And I just really enjoyed it was just a fully different experience I ever played when playing a puzzle game where, like, everything's destroyable, but if you destroy too much, you're gonna fuck yourself over. So you have to be it's one of those things you have to restrain yourself and actually focus on the area you're trying to get to and what you have to use to get to that way.
The hardest part of the puzzle game is to not fuck yourself.
Exactly, and I liked it. I thought it was so unique. I thought it was so cool.
Practicing restraint.
It's all the game is getting from point A to point B, and that's it. And then there's also collectible stuff you can get, and I'm pretty excited to actually pick up this game and actually finish it. Because I came across it when I was looking over stuff to play, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about this. And it's a cute style to it. You know, I like cute things and all that stuff. It also has a good soundtrack to it, but it was so different from any other puzzle game I actually played, and that were just like the hardest part of the hardest part of the puzzle was just restraining myself from destroying the puzzle. And I thought that was a cool mechanic. I think it's a really cool idea, and I enjoyed it. And that's why it's just my number one. It kind of just, it's a very unique and surprising one. You know, like I said, like this list is, they're all wonderful games, but like this is, I tried to make it more of just of unique style, you know, and stuff of being number one. And that's why I put Tiny and Big so far as my number one. It's just that, just the whole style of it and the function of the puzzle.
Yeah, I remember, I didn't watch you specifically play it, but it definitely, the mechanic of just cutting everything and kind of like, it's more of a geometry type of puzzle game, if I'm understanding correctly.
Yeah, like actually the game on the Steam page is like you get a laser, you get a rope to drag things, and you get rockets to shoot things around stuff. And it just I'm actually really excited to replay the game, to actually play the game and finish it. I think that might be my next thing I pick up. Or I really want to do The Room, though. That room looks really cool.
Yeah, The Room is fun, and it only takes like 2 or 3 hours to beat.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna pick up The Room this week and give it a go. Because it's a simple one room thing, and it's only like 2 hours long. So I think it'd be a great thing for me to give it a go and try.
The Room is definitely a no bullshit kind of.
Yeah, that's what I enjoy about it too.
Yeah,
that's why I think I'll enjoy it as well.
I would say, I know you said you don't like phone app games, and not to go back to my number 2, I guess, not to stick on it too long, but it does make a lot of sense, because all you do is rotate around an object. It makes a lot of sense to have a touch screen, because all you do is just, like, swipe, you know, to, like, turn...
No, that's true.
To, like, orbit around it, you know, you just swipe to orbit around this object, and, like, zoom in is just, like, a pinch and...
Yeah.
Whatever. Like on your phone, it makes a lot of sense. Specifically, if you've got a Surface or one of those touchscreen laptops, is what I played on.
Plus, if I wanted to say something, I could just do a screenshot of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those games that I think the touchscreen capabilities work out really well for it.
So you think I should get it for my cell phone then, The Room?
Cell phone is kind of tough because it's super small. But if you have a Surface, I'd say ideally a Surface or a tablet.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Okay, my number one. So, my number one is The Witness. The Witness is a purely puzzle game. It's, pretty much you just are on an island, and, you can do anything that you want immediately except visit one area. And so there's, like, I think... between like 12 and 24 different areas.
Oh yeah, this one.
Yeah. You remember me playing this?
Yeah.
But there's like between 1 or 2 dozen areas for you to explore, and they all follow a theme of a different puzzle. And once you like go through and complete every puzzle in that area, it works towards getting into this final unapproachable location that you can't get to. So like pretty much is you can just do anything anywhere in any order, and then once you do all that, then you finally have access to like the big ending. But I guess what's interesting about it is that once again it's kind of a no frills thing. You just kind of show up, and all the puzzles are they all follow like separate themes, but they're all completed in the same way. It uses a gridded system that it's really easy, where you don't have to like learn a ton of BS every single time you try out a different puzzle. Like they all generally follow the same pattern, I suppose I should say. And so the reason that it sits at number one is it was super challenging. It actually I did have to look up a couple puzzles on this one because it was difficult. So it's got a good challenge. It's also just a really long game. Like, in terms of a puzzle game, I mean, I said that The Room is really good, but it's only, like, 3 hours or so. The Witness is something like 40 hours.
Shit.
It's a long puzzle game, yeah.
Damn.
Like, you're definitely going to get bang for your buck out of it.
That's for sure.
And then lastly, similar to The Room, is that it's just like purely a puzzle game. You know, there's nothing else really to it. There is an ending, and it doesn't really explain anything, but I mean that it does try to give you a little bit of a payoff for accomplishing everything. But realistically, at the end of it, it's just, you know, go to this one spot, try to find the solution, and then it very much keeps you focused on the idea of just like, you know, the puzzle is its own reward. You know, solving the puzzle is its own reward. And in the Witnesses situation, that's totally fine, because the puzzles are legitimately challenging, and you do feel like accomplished each time that you do finish an area or finish, you know, the entire game. So, yeah, to go through my list once more then, number 5 is Tetris, because it's just classic. Number 4 is Portal 2, because it's unique. Number 3 is Riven, pretty much because of nostalgia, honestly, but still a good game. Number 2 is The Room, because I think it's just for my skill level, it's the perfect amount of difficulty. And then number 1 is The Witness, because it is just purely a puzzle game, and it's a really good bang for your buck for 40 hours worth of puzzles.
And then mine are the Trines, the Portals, and then Legend of Grimrock. Then there's Antichamber, and then Tiny and Big, Grandma's Leftovers. You know, each of them had their own unique abilities, and the ones that wasn't that unique ones in the end was Legend of Grimrock, but they were still a very nice challenge into them. That's why it wasn't made on the list, but that's why it was only level 3. But the challenge alone was why I put it there. And then I like to give an honorable mention, though, to one game, and that was Mirror's Edge. It's like, I would call that a puzzle game. It wasn't my favorite. It was still a lot of fun and a very unique style, though, to it as well, where you're just basically parkouring.
Yeah, I could see that as a puzzle game. It's definitely like more than a puzzle game, but there are puzzle elements.
It was a puzzle element, and that's why I enjoyed it. It was like an interesting way of actually just parkouring it in the end. And I thought it was pretty cool, especially all in first person.
Yeah. I also have an honorable mention. Did you have more than that? Or?
No, that was just Mirror's Edge, really.
Okay, I did have my own honorable mention, and once again, it's not specifically a puzzle game, so that's why it didn't make the list, but Guitar Hero. I felt like learning...
that's like Mirror's as well.
Yeah, like learning the rhythm, learning how the buttons work and everything. Like, it was a puzzle in the sense of training your brain to... In the same way that learning an instrument is a puzzle, you know? As stupid as it is, the plastic controller to a real guitar. But, I mean, it's definitely a trial by fire type of thing. You just do it over and over and over again until you're good enough.
You only can do it one way, and that's it.
Yeah.
If you fuck it up, you fuck it up.
Pretty much, yeah. Is that there's a clear, concise victory and a clear, concise failure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's our top 5. Typically after that, we do some sort of a news story and a rant. This week,
Did you find any news? Because I just found 2 things that they're not going to be big things to talk about, just things to notice. That's it. But did you find any news?
No, nothing to like, not like a main story.
No,
so if you wanted to go off of that,
just 2 things I just wanted to give notice is like EA just bought another company. They just bought Respawn Entertainment. They're the people who made Titanfall, and I just find it kind of funny because they just killed one company off already, which we talked about last podcast.
Yeah, Visceral.
Yeah, Visceral, and so just like. We already know my feelings about it, so I'm not going to go into it, but I just think that's just funny. It's like, Respawn Entertainment's like, yeah, we'll join you even though you just killed off another company. We think it's a great idea for our company to do that. It's like, okay.
It makes sense for EA, though, because...
Oh, yeah, of course it does.
I mean, it makes sense to have a lack of competition. You just absorb all the competition.
No, yeah.
But it does weary... I do get cautious about... you said Respawn?
Yeah, Respawn Entertainment.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, like, how good of a deal did they offer Respawn Entertainment? Because
I think it was either 200 or 300 million.
Yeah. Like, how can you be the CEO of Respawn Entertainment and not look at that with very, very cautious eyes? Yeah. Like, ooh, these guys were just in the spotlight for, disbanding Visceral.
It's $200 million that he just gets right off the bat, so it's like, okay.
Yeah, I mean...
I can see why they do it in the end. It's just like, I'm just saying from the perspective of the people who are they actually work for Respawn Entertainment, just like their thought process, and it's like, well, shit. I'm like more from the employee's point of view. For the people who sell the companies, I can't really blame them because that's a buttload of money. You don't have to work anymore when you get that money, It's like, that's all your money. That's all yours. So I can understand why they do it. I can't fully hate them for it. I mean, for me, it sucks, but it's like, that's a buttload of money, and you don't have to work anymore. So yeah. So I'm just wondering like what they're thinking about the employees. Then it's like, I guess I just start putting out my resume again, looking for other people. And so that's like my idea of that. Do you have anything added on to that one?
I was just gonna look up how many people worked for Respawn Entertainment. If you wanted to get into your other story,
yeah, another one too, just because you won't probably have much to say on it anyway. So the second one is on Guild Wars 2. It's one of it's not my top favorite MMO, but it's one of my I do enjoy it a lot. I played a bit of it, and it's one of those few I actually fully enjoyed besides like EVE Online. And the news article about them is that they actually introduced random loot boxes, and they did it for only did it for a certain skin. Usually in Guild Wars 2, you can buy any skin you wanted, except for these new skins they made it for the creatures you can ride, and there were 30, and you can only get them through random chance when you buy these random loot boxes. And the players hated it so much that Guild Wars 2 came out just with a news article today. I believe it was today. November 10th. It was 2 days ago, actually, from this podcast. Right now it's November 12th. And they just came on a news article saying, okay, we heard this, and sadly, this has already been implemented for these 30 skins, so we can't change it for these, but from here on out, we're not doing any more random chances. Every single time that we have skins that we make, you can just buy those skins. You don't have to get a random chance now anymore.
Okay, that's pretty cool of them.
Yeah, and so yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, people are still upset about it because like, well, shit, 'cause I like some of the skins, but I can understand why they can't change it because people already bought into the system already where they had to do a random chance and put their money into it.
Yeah.
So they have and it's only for these 30 skins, and I really am surprised to see that. And it's interesting now because there's more and more articles about how companies, because like the last week we did, that's about 2 companies who came out saying, yeah, we're not having loot boxes in our games either. So I'm wondering if we're actually now no longer really see loot boxes anymore in games.
Yeah, we'll see.
Just with these, because these are pretty large companies that are making these statements now.
Yeah, it's definitely like a hot topic right now, and I mean we've covered it a couple times here, but
last podcast, did we?
Well, I'm sure that we're gonna get around to it, every once in a while, because it is kind of it is what everyone's talking about right now.
It's just like it's one of those things. I just want to mention it. I don't want to dive into it again because everything I had on it has been told in the last podcast.
Yeah,
and that was really I derailed that podcast hardcore with those rants.
No, it's fine. Like I think definitely for like the news side of things, like it's important to say like hat off definitely to Guild Wars 2 developers and the company for just saying, we heard you. That's we're not implementing that anymore. Like that, I've got no problem with. We can talk about that. But I think that everyone is 100% sure of our opinions on loot boxes now.
Sure, yeah.
But what was your other story? You said you had 2, right?
Yeah, those are 2. It was just the EA
the Respawn,
and then Guild Wars 2 backing down from loot boxes from future skins they make cosmetics.
To circle back to Respawn Entertainment though, so I looked up how many employees were in the company. Just curious. And they, as of this year, they had 205 employees working for Respawn Entertainment.
And they sold for like $300 million. Jeez.
Give every employee $1 million. Wouldn't that be a nice world if that was actually the case?
Oh my god, if that was. Well, I mean, yeah,
everyone's like, yeah, where's my $1 million?
Yeah, it's like you really know those million. Damn, that guy did that, and it's like, if he did that pretty much live, I'm just like, alright, I'm not working with EA, fuck that, I'm out.
Yeah, everyone, like, the janitors are like, yeah, that's equal shares, right?
That's awesome, though. Like, I'm surprised, because I never played Titanfall, because I'm not that big anymore on first-person multiplayer shooter games. Like, they're kind of like, it wasn't like COD. That's not fair, but it's that type of first-person shooter games,
It's really just saturated.
It's just so saturated, and I'm just burned out on it. I played so much of it, and I'm kind of done with that, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that's the reason. I don't think that they made a bad game, but I think it's hard to go against all these titans in the... I mean, we're talking, like, Battlefield 1. Call of Duty, obviously, has done Modern Warfare, and mechs, I guess, is the right word, and stuff. And I feel like it's really hard to squeeze your way in being a new... Well, not necessarily a new IP, but, like, grabbing the same people.
Yeah. And I've actually only heard good things about the game. Like, the first one everyone loved, and everyone liked the second one, too. and they had a very honest business model where they did not like DLCs and season passes. Everything they added to the game was free updates. So it'll be very interesting to see how they go on from now on with being under EA. So
yeah, we'll see. It would be. I'm happy for them. Obviously,
good for them for sounding that high for only being that many employees. They put out great games. They were solid games. I'm sorry that it was just not my cup of tea, so I couldn't really enjoy it. I mean, not enjoy it, just not pick it up. But I wish them the best. Hope they actually are the ones that break the chain.
Yeah, we should look hopefully into this. Like, the fact that Titanfall 2, they did make these great games, but they didn't really catch on. The company might be struggling. And so,
yeah, for sure.
Being bought out by EA, it does give them an opportunity to maybe try something new, maybe workshop their formula a little bit, because,
or just get more notice.
Yeah, I mean, simply put, as we said, like Titanfall and Titanfall 2, they were very well received. It's just that market's saturated. Like, maybe if they tweaked their formula a little bit, I mean, I'm sure that they could make a really great game. They just have to find their niche.
Yeah, and that was it for that. But there was something else you wanted to add too, as well, right?
Yeah. So not necessarily news or story, but there's two things. I don't even know if I would call them a rant. It's more just like conversation, I suppose.
No, yeah, and something actually I wanted to talk to you about, because you gave me a heads about it before we started, and I was actually going to bring it up during the podcast and ask your opinion about it.
Yeah, so I've been playing Witcher 2, obviously, and before that I played Mario Odyssey, and before then I was playing The Evil Within 2, and these games are a lot of sequels. And I brought this idea up to Mike of like, oh, what should we talk about today? I'm not really finding a lot of good news. And I said, what about if we talked about what makes a good sequel? And Mike, you were like, oh, I had that exact idea as I was driving over here.
I did, because it just came to me as a thought. It's like, what do people actually want out of a sequel in a game,
Yeah, like it's got to be the same thing, but it's got to be slightly different. I mean, there's so many ways to just make one small difference and fuck up the formula completely.
No, yeah, and there's also times when there's always that argument that you sometimes see in forums and just in reviews, and some people say it's like, this should just been a DLC. This should not have been another full game or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting now in this world where a lot of games are connected online, where you can just add DLC to that one game, so now it's just like one of those things. Like, I don't don't know what I want out of a sequel, really. Because I really like I like new ideas and like new just games and stuff, and I do, and it's like I don't really play many sequels that much.
Yeah, well then let's start with this then. So this is kind of like,
it's very complex for me.
This isn't really scripted. Like our top 5, well, nothing's scripted, but like our top 5, we have our top 5s pre-decided. For this, all I have written down is just what makes a good sequel. So if you're okay with it, let's walk through, like, what would you consider a good sequel of a game? The ones that came to mind for me are Portal 2, Team Fortress 2, Half-Life 2. Those are all games that really did a good job. And it's funny because those are all Valve Steam games.
No, it's true, yeah. It's like, because like with Team Fortress 2, they updated the graphics. Well, they changed the whole graphics completely.
Yeah.
And they... Yeah, just like... sorry, I'm actually kind of stumped on this one.
Yeah, well, from what... I mean, everyone has heard of Half-Life 2, and a lot of people have heard of, I think a ton of people have heard of Portal and Team Fortress 2 as well. From what I had heard, the reasons that these games picked up is Team Fortress 1, which I don't know how many people played that game, or not a lot.
Play it at all.
It started out as a very... Like, if you look up screenshots of the game, it's very generic. For the time it came out, it's not cartoony at all, as Team Fortress 2 is very cartoony.
You like pull it up too.
So what Team Fortress 2 did is that they added character to the games.
Yeah.
They made these characters actually like matter. As the original characters, they just feel very lifeless.
They look like they're from Half-Life 1.
Yeah, they're like very much marine shooters. Like no one cares.
As you know, next year, wherein like you said in Team Fortress 2, each character is a character now. Like, you have Heavy, and everyone knows the Heavy. He's the heavy Russian guy.
Yeah, they have attitudes and like traits.
They have personality.
Whatnot. Yeah,
they actually have personality and a little background story.
Yeah, and so people were saying like it's the aesthetic of the characters the art style, like that's what made the game. That's what made Team Fortress 2 better than Team Fortress 1.
Now, would you say it's still actually a Team Fortress game because they're just so different from each other now, though?
Yeah, see, that's the tough thing. Is like, at what point is it just a completely new IP? And I would say that it is still a Team Fortress 2 game. Like, they changed up the graphics, but the game wasn't really dependent on character or story in the first game. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, even the second one didn't have any story or characters. They just add that on the side that you can look up yourself. But if you ever play the game, there's never ever a story or anything like that. Just join a game and pick a character.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like the same way that, like, I'm trying to think of a good example here. The same way that Final Fantasy has changed like a lot of different characters. Like, I think the fact that it's still the same gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you buy a Final Fantasy game not because you know the characters specifically. You buy a Final Fantasy game because of the story, or because you expect certain things out of the story and of the gameplay. I think that's what makes a game a sequel.
Yeah, I think we're going this. I think we should go on from this. Let's try to think of a game that actually had a bad sequel instead of a good one.
Oh, it's easy. There's so many.
All right, let's name a few. Like, the one I can think of is Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog, after the first game, had terrible sequels afterwards until they had, what was it, Sonic Mania, when they went back to the classic version for that one, and everyone loved it again.
Yeah. Yeah, Sonic has had a really bad run since the first couple ones. I mean, aside from all the sports games that come out year after year, like, they're not sequels, but it's like 2K 2014.
It's the same thing, with better graphics a bit.
I mean, I'm not saying, like, it makes sense that the game is, it makes sense that the game is new of that year because, like, the character, there's new players and there's new statistics and whatnot. But at the same time, I do wonder, like, how could that not just be like a DLC or something?
And there's an automatic update. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, the new updates come in the game where all the new players are going to be put in now.
Yeah, so, like, in that sense, that makes me question, like, sequel or DLC or expansion, like, why does it have to be a full another $60?
Yeah.
Let's see. Now that I said it's really easy to think of bad sequels, I've got to go and, like, look through my list here.
For me, a lot of people are going to disagree. It's like, but some people will agree. It's kind of a small margin, though, that people agree with me. I feel like Fallout 4 was kind of not a good sequel to the Fallout series. I felt like it was sort of a step backwards because I felt like my biggest issue is, which everyone probably knows about, is that their dialogue was dramatically cut down on what you can actually say and what you have control over saying,
Yeah, that one,
it was still...
That one's back and forth.
Yeah, the game is still solid, but, one of the things I was excited most about Fallout 4 was the dialogue. Because in the older Fallout games, there was so much different choices of dialogues, and your own stats affected it so much, like your own intelligence too. Like in the original Fallout games, if you were dumb as a rock, you couldn't even talk in some of the Fallout games if you were so stupid. You couldn't even read. So I was kind of like, when I heard that Fallout 4 was coming out, I was really hoping that would be more of effect on, like, the stats you put in your game were not just attack stuff or just armor effect. It actually affected the conversations you had with people. But in the end, it didn't, which was so sad because the Fallout series, like, their communications in the games, like, their storylines and just, like, were so good. And I feel like that Fallout 4 was such a pullback from that, sadly, and they just focused more on the gunplay, which was not what Fallout 4 was. I mean, what Fallout was just about. It was not just about the gunplay, it was also about the story and the people you connected with throughout the game, based on who you played.
Yeah. I mean, I think that sequels have to do something different. It can't just be a copy paste from the previous game.
It has to add something to it in some cases.
But at the same time, as we first mentioned,
like
when we started this, there has to be consistency.
Yeah.
Like Team Fortress 2, they kept the good in the first one, being, okay, this is a combat games, and, like, the fact that it's called Team Fortress, we're keeping the teams, we're keeping, like, the class system, we're keeping the fortresses, and the one thing that we can improve on is the aesthetics.
Yeah.
Half-Life 2, I think that I never played Half-Life 1. I know I should get around to it.
I haven't played it either. But I tried. I played a little bit of it. Never got through it.
But from what I had heard is that the gameplay changes a lot where it was just at like a really good time in the game industry where the universe felt real. Like in the first couple minutes of Half-Life 2, you know, you come into the train station and you're talking to all those guys and whatnot. Like it felt so much more real than like Half-Life 1 when you show up to work and everyone like they've got a little blurb to say, but it's not nearly as atmospheric.
So robotic and so rigid. You can easily tell.
And the other thing too about Half-Life 2 is that it was a complete singular map. There were loading points in between, but technically you could walk from one side of the map to the other.
Yeah.
Like there was no like walk through a door and then it loads the inside of the building or something.
It's just like, oh man, Half-Life 2. I'm so sad they're not making a third one because I loved it for that. I loved it for so many reasons. But yeah. But another good one example is like Portal and Portal 2. Portal 2 really just added more stuff you can mess with to add things that you can do with the portals. Like it had the slimes, the speed stuff, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And it also added more storyline too. That was actually a pretty good storyline as well.
Yeah.
But besides the storyline though, it added more mechanics to the puzzles, which were fun and good.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it was also a very large game too as well. Like the length of the game was just as long as Portal 1, I felt like.
Well, it was longer. Portal 1 was like 3 hours, I think. Portal 2 was 6 or 8 hours or something.
Yeah. So even had more. And then it even added a solid co-op mode to it as well.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good thing, is they took what was good with Portal and they moved it into Portal 2. Like they took, for Portal, I think that the aesthetics were good. You know, they liked the clean look. They liked that, you know, it's a very simple game. Your character doesn't take fall damage, even though there's a lot of like gravity issues. So they're like, okay, there's no need to muddy it up and make like fall damage in this game when you're having your character like, you know, going through portals like over and over again. But then what they did improve on, what they looked at the game and said like, okay, we could do better, is story.
Yeah,
and
that is true. Yeah, it was more story based, but still had the puzzles in it at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. That is that. You know, I'm sure that as like the main genre of any game, they look at, you know, this is a puzzle game, how can we make the puzzles better? This is an adventure game, how can we make it more adventurous?
Yeah.
So with Portal 2, which was great about it, is that they did add all this other stuff that you can do with the portals, the multiplayer and whatnot. Like, they understood that everyone that's playing Portal 2 probably played the first one. So there's no reason to dilly-dally with all these, like, basic shoot a portal here, go over here, and go into the exit. Like,
yeah.
When you started dealing with 4 portals at a single time, when you started dealing with all that, like, there was the acceleration gel, like, they introduced so many additional things that, like, it wasn't just more complex portals, it was bringing in new things to do with the portal gun.
Yeah.
There were new things to experience and to understand.
And it's like, and one, they could just do more because you can see they have a much bigger budget, and it showed so much, too, because the game was twice as big and way more fun, and also way more there was way more stuff to see in graphical ways too.
Yeah.
And way more voice acting as well. There's more characters in it.
Definitely, yeah. And the story, yeah.
Which was a good story though as well.
In terms of games that I don't think had a good sequel, and once again, I think that this is kind of an unpopular opinion, so I apologize.
That's all good.
But my first one isn't nearly much of a... I don't think anyone's going to have too much of an issue with it, but my second one, I think people will. My first game that I think had a poor sequel is Dungeon Defenders 2.
Oh, yeah, that one did.
Yeah, so Dungeon Defenders is a team-based tower defense where everyone plays third person and you can, like, put down towers to defend... in like real time while these waves of enemies come at you. It was a really cool game, but what was really cool about Dungeon Defenders was that their main focus was just like loot. In the same way that Diablo 3 is about loot. Like, you just find better stuff and make your character stronger and stronger.
And you play harder levels and all that stuff, or higher difficulty.
Yeah, and that was always really fun. Dungeon Defenders 2, they switched it up to a free-to-play model, and they started adding in, I mean...
Wasn't it a MOBA in the end?
Yeah, well, they started out as a MOBA, and then they were like, okay, this isn't going to work, we're just going to go back to our original thing. But they tried to drastically switch up the game, in complete opposite ways that like Half-Life 2 or Portal 2, you know, you keep the good, you polish the bad. Like,
that's a good one, actually. I like that.
Yeah, like Dungeon Defenders 2, like you said, they started, like, this is a tower defense co-op game. They tried to make it a MOBA initially, so pretty much all the good main basic gameplay they tried to get rid of, and it was just really weird. No one, I think that it was in beta, but it didn't officially come out before they were like, okay, never mind, fuck that, we're just going back to what we were trying to do originally. But even then, they were still trying to incorporate this free-to-play model. I think that they were looking at League of Legends, and they were like, okay, well, this looks like it's making a fuck ton of money.
Yeah, it's so, like endless cash right there.
Yeah, so, like, Dungeon Defenders 2, when it came out, like, immediately, like, one of the first 5 people or 6 people that you can talk to in the main, like, hub area, one person's, like, selling skins for, like, 700 gems, and it just feels like this game's about loot, and finding great loot, and then they're just like adding in all this.
Just buy it.
Yeah,
like I think Jim Solution gave it was like, if you're having that in your game and just basically asking people to skip the fun part of your game, or it's like if you're selling your equipment, then it's basically saying that the main part of your game isn't fun to do to get the stuff in the end. If you're given the option to buy it, you know?
Well, a lot of the stuff was cosmetic, but then at the same time, like it felt like it was more pushed into your face. Like, Dungeon Defenders was more about, like, just the tower defense. And the fact that this hub is such a large area and such a small amount of it relies on the tower defense. Like, you talk to one guy in this hub, and that's the guy that, like, brings you to the tower defense. And everyone else is like, oh, now there's, like, hatching eggs, and now there's, like, oh, you can...
Oh, yeah.
It was really different, you know? Like, the good part of the game, they moved it to not feel as important as it was.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would consider to be my first bad example of a bad sequel. My other example, which is the unpopular one, is The Evil Within 2.
Wait, sorry, not to cut you off. I forgot I was going to ask this then after you were done. So you think actually they could have gotten away with it if they didn't call it Dungeon Defenders and just give it a whole new OP, like a whole new title, like
no,
make it a different game?
Well, because they kept the same characters, and the fact that it is a tower defense, like it's...
Because they could have, instead of going off of Dungeon Defenders, they could have gone off their brand name because people would know them that they made Dungeon Defenders. And so they could have kept the same characters, maybe even, in the same look, because people know them. It's like, oh, they made Dungeon Defenders. That's why it looks like Dungeon Defenders.
Yeah, like, maybe the MOBA could have worked if they called it, like, Dungeon Defenders MOBA or something. But the fact that they called this game specifically Dungeon Defenders 2 made it really, It didn't feel like a proper sequel.
Yeah, because it wasn't a sequel. It wasn't the same game. It was something completely different. It was a MOBA.
The core was there, but it felt less emphasized. All the best parts of the game were there, but they didn't feel like they had center stage. That's probably a good way to put it.
That's a great way to put it. I see what you're saying.
So then my second game is the Evil Within 2, which I felt was lackluster in comparison to the first one. And this is for completely different reasons. But it still boils down to the core main thing of keep your good, polish your bad. The Evil Within 2, well, sorry, let me restart. The Evil Within 1, what it did really well is that it did horror. Like, the only thing that they were trying to do is just make a horror survival game. And I think that Evil Within 1 accomplished that. What the Evil Within 2 tried to do is they added in like story, and they added in a bunch of other things that would have normally made a really great sequel. As I was saying with Team Fortress 2, like, you know, their story in the first game was really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the fact that they made an effort to add in, like, story and add in, like, better character dialogue and whatnot.
Yeah, that first one was confusing as fuck.
Yeah, like, it all felt like moves towards a good sequel, but they really kind of tripped and stumbled with it because pretty much it was their weakest leg in the first game, but it wasn't really emphasized too much, so it didn't really take away from the experience. But in the second one, they didn't really improve on it, but it's more prevalent now, but it's still really weak. The story doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's so much more in your face than the first one that it's really hard to just, like, ignore it and enjoy the game when everything that you're doing, you're constantly being reminded, like, okay, well, it's because of this in the story, and you're constantly like, that doesn't make any sense, this is so stupid, like, the story is so convoluted.
Which is kind of funny, because in the first one, I noticed, like, nothing made sense, but even the character said, like, this doesn't make sense, alright? He was even saying, like, this doesn't make sense at all. and that's why I kind of enjoyed it a bit. That's why, not enjoyed it, but
it was easier to let it go.
Yeah, exactly, because like everything is insane, so it doesn't matter.
You didn't dwell on it.
Yeah.
And so I don't need to get into it too much, but yeah, that's why I didn't really like the Evil Within 2 nearly as much, is because they just, I mean, we've talked about this before, so once again.
And you have a video on it too on your channel.
Yeah, so I mean, it's, I don't need to get into it a ton, but yeah, I think that they just, they didn't do a good job with polishing the bad. They made the bad more prevalent, but they didn't make it, any better.
By the way, I love that. Keep the good and polish the bad.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. That's why I wrote that down. That's a good saying.
Yeah.
For a good sequel, honestly. It kind of nails it on the head, you know? A good sequel is that they kept the good and they polished the bad, and that's all it really needs to do to make a good sequel in the end.
Yeah. You just, the core gameplay, or the core, you know, why people played the game, that has to still be there, but you have to incorporate new ways of gameplay as well.
Like Portal 2. You're adding more gels and adding gels and stuff to it, so you can do more things and unique stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just in overall, I totally agree that just I think it's a good way to solidify just what's a good sequel in the end. And what about remakes then? What do you think about that? Is would you call those sequels in any ways, remakes and stuff?
I think remakes shouldn't be full price. I don't even think remakes should be more than if it came out and it was $60 at release.
Oh, so HD remasters. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Doom. Doom is a remake of Doom 1, sort of.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, but I understand what you're getting about, too, though. It's just, when you see a remastered game when they just update the graphics, yeah, I totally agree that it shouldn't be a full-price game at all. It's alright, man, I know you put some effort in, updating the graphics, but that's all you did.
Well, so there's a difference. The line that I walk here is, Crash Bandicoot came out, and that's a remake, technically, but you get 3 games, so, Crash Bandicoot 1, 2, and 3, and it's an HD remake, and it's on a modern console, and it's not even $60. That's $40 for the 3 games that were originally $60 each. I consider that a pretty good deal.
Well, actually, I heard that they even changed the some coding as well, because Crash Bandicoot's hitbox originally was a square, and in the remake they actually changed it to a circle, a more circle thing, so it's actually more realistic on his body in the end.
Maybe, but there's small things like that I don't think would constitute a full price tag. Still.
Okay, I'm just adding that in just because that's the information I came across while I was looking into that game.
Right. So Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, I think that's a pretty good one. The price was there.
How much was
it? It was $40.
Oh, that's really good. Because man, I remember playing a little bit with you. I forgot how hard that game was.
Yeah. Well,
stupid bridge with the turtles. It's impossible unless you just walk on the ropes.
Yeah, the bridge level's difficult.
Oh my god, it was impossible.
But so there on my spectrum, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy I consider good, but to the other side of the spectrum, I look at Kingdom Hearts, and they have had remakes for Kingdom Hearts 3 separate times.
3 times?
It came out on the PS2, Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. They had a bunch of other versions that came out on handhelds. So since then, they've made remasters for PS3 and PS4, and now they're going to make one more remaster as a definitive edition, as if that hasn't already been the case, in anticipation for Kingdom Hearts 3. And that's kind of where I'm starting, and the coding... Well, sorry, let me start that over again. The gameplay is exactly the same. Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy and Crash Bandicoot the original games, there's clearly a distinction between which one was made on the PlayStation and which one was made for the PS4.
Yeah, obviously.
Aside from native resolution, you can't really tell that Kingdom Hearts for PS2 and Kingdom Hearts for PS4 are completely separate. The same way that you take 2 seconds, you take half of a second with Crash Bandicoot, and you're okay, that's the new one, clearly.
Yeah, because the first one, everything's a polygon.
Yeah. And they are charging full price for these games, even though they are...
BS, yeah.
They are collections, the same way that Crash Bandicoot is, but at the same time, Crash Bandicoot offered their 3 best games in one package for $40. Kingdom Hearts they've released Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and Kingdom Hearts 2.5, where they conveniently split up the two best games in the series into two different discs that you have to pay $60 for, or maybe it is $40, I'm not sure. But the point is that you're still paying a minimum of $80 to replay games that have already come out.
Yeah, that is bullshit.
And once again, I mean, like, I'm not going to go ahead and say that it takes the smallest effort to report a game or anything, but in comparison to Crash Bandicoot, like, it's so obvious one game was extremely cared for.
Yeah.
You know, and the other game was like, hey, we can definitely make a profit off of this. Let's totally, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't want to, not to be like, oh, they're evil for remaking it for modern consoles, because for anyone that hasn't played it and hasn't had a chance to, like on the PS2, sure, you know, you get a chance to play Kingdom Hearts.
Well, I played the first one. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but at the same time, I do have a problem with the price tag. If you're going to release a game, if you're going to re-release a game, it shouldn't be a full price. I mean,
yeah.
or it should offer something new once again.
No, I totally agree. And I don't really know if I can add anything else to that.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty good.
No, I totally agree. And I just have nothing else to add to that. I feel like then we could just go in a circle then, honestly, if we kept on going.
Right. No, I'm fine with that. The other thing I wanted to mention is Black Friday's coming up.
Oh, yeah.
And I hate to admit it, but I am a giddy consumer. I'm really excited to find some good deals here.
Yeah, same.
I hate to be like average American, like, oh, you know, holidays are coming up, time to buy shit. But I legitimately, I get excited, you know, like there's equipment. I've got, you know, this microphone, for example. I've got headphones. I've got like a mechanical keyboard. Like I like to be a consumer in some senses, you know. So
well, I like new shit. That's why I like Black Friday.
Yeah, pretty much.
Stuff is on sale.
Exactly. I mean, I gotta buy like a fuck ton of clothes. You know, all my clothes don't fucking fit me anymore. But is there anything coming out game-wise, either hardware, you know, if you're looking for like a new computer, or video game-wise that you're hoping goes on sale?
Video games-wise, not really. I don't know. I'm maybe trying to build a new PC, honestly. I don't know. I mean, this one's still working pretty well, the one I got, this laptop, and I'm not really having issues with it. So I'm thinking about maybe just getting a good mic for myself, too.
Yeah, sure.
Just some basic recording, and then just basic holiday gifts I can buy. You know, I have a huge freaking family, so I'm just looking out for stuff to buy for the family and stuff. Try to save some as much money as I can.
Right.
While I'm doing it. But most of my buying I'm going to be doing like online. I'm not going to be dealing with the stores. I hate doing that.
Right.
And I'll probably be on the road again, sadly, so I won't be able to like carry the stuff with me. So I'll be just keeping an eye on the online stores. How about you?
In terms of games, let's see. I had a couple things on my wish list. I might just
see. Yeah, I guess I could check my wish too.
Yeah, I should pull that up. Is there a pause button for this podcast? No.
No, fuck that.
Okay. So my wish list, just to run through a couple things that I've got like 20 games on here, but games that I like. If they went on sale, I would probably pick them up immediately. We'll start from the bottom. A game that I've really wanted to play that came out this month is The Mummy Demastered. If that game came out on sale, like $25, it's only $20 right now. But if it was like $15, yeah, I'd pick that up in a heartbeat. That game looks great. What else? I've always wanted to play Ori and the Blind Forest. Everyone says that that's a great game. But it's $20. The definitive edition is, at least, and I don't know. I keep hearing good things about Ori and the Blind Forest, and they're making a sequel, and so it'd just be nice to get around to that one. And then lastly, a game that I've wanted to play forever is the Shantae series, and they released Half Genie Hero, and the game just looks awesome, like the graphics and stuff. Well, not.
I heard about it.
Yeah, sorry, not necessarily the graphics, but more the aesthetics. It just like looks really vibrant, and yeah,
it has like an Aladdin feel to it.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a 2D platformer, and I think this game, yeah, also $20. So, I mean, honestly, if any of these games were even $15, but I mean, if they were like $10 or something, yeah, I would be really happy to pick one of these up for in the next 2 weeks for Black Friday.
Yeah, like for me, I would like to see Divinity Original Sin 2 on sale. I'd probably definitely pick up that up.
That'd be, if you do, because that game's co-op, right? We should play that together.
It's a co-op RPG game, kind of like D&D style. You're just like, your main objective is to get off the island, but there's like 1,000 ways to get off the island. So just like, so it looked a lot of fun. I've seen the story of it. I've seen some play of it. It looks really cool. And then I'm also interested in getting Shadow Tactics Blades of the Shogun. And that just is where you control like 5 ninjas and stuff, and then you just, it just looks really good though, and it's highly acclaimed too, and I came across it 2 days ago, so I'm pretty interested in picking that one up.
Cool. Okay.
It's like $39, so I'm like, if it was like 20 or 25, then I'd pick it up then.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's all I got for
Black Friday.
Yeah, more like I was saying, like news story rant section, more conversation. But we can get into games coming out, and I've only got one, so if you don't mind, I'll go first.
Go for it.
Here.
Knock yourself out.
Yeah, sure. So there's this game I was looking up. It's called Tower 57. It comes out on November 16th, and it's by the company Pixelwork. But pretty much, well, to start out, I'll give you the description here. Let me pull it up. So it says, Tower 57 is a fast-paced neo-retro shooter where cooperation is an important part as your is as important as ammo capacity. As a member of an I can't speak today. Sorry.
Welcome to my world.
As a member of an extraordinary task force, fight your way through the diesel punk mega tower and uncover its hidden secrets. So this game is a pixel art kind of game. It's 2D. It's cooperative. I think it looks like it's just 2 players. Yeah, supports local co-op, online as well.
Okay, thank God it has online as well. I really hate when they have co-op and it's only like you have to sit together.
Yeah, but the pixel art in it is really beautiful looking, and from what I can tell, it's just like a top-down, almost like a twin stick shooter, where it's, like Enter the Gungeon or...
it reminds me of Enter the Gungeon a lot.
Yeah, and so pretty much it's just like a lot of mayhem, a lot of flying projectiles and whatnot, upgrade system, etc., etc. But that's called Tower 57, and it looks like their big emphasis is just playing it with someone. And, single-player experience is good, but it sounds like they're heavily preferring the cooperative experience.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. But that's the only one I had. So, Mike, if you have any?
Yeah. I have just one myself. It's called Ori or something like that. O-U-R-E.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that.
Either do I. And it looks like a very beautiful style puzzle game when you fly as a dragon. And once again, it looks cute. It's a puzzle game, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun with it.
What's the summary say?
It says, take flight in a dreamlike cloudscape as you seek to reawaken the relics of the lost civilization. As a unique child born with the powers of the ancient dragons, your parents cast you from their stricken surface into the land above the skies.
Okay, so that doesn't really say too much about gameplay more than the story.
Shit, hell yeah.
Alright.
It looks like you fly around a dragon doing puzzles.
I mean, you've got it pulled up here. I'm just going to go ahead and say it looks like the people that made Journey made this.
Yeah, that's a great example.
They didn't make this game, but I mean, they're like the colors and everything. It looks exactly like Journey.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, that's the only one they made. So yeah, this is a whole different company.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one I just came across, which another game I'd probably pick up is called Sudoku Cube on Steam, and it's just it's Sudoku but on a cube, and it looks really interesting. And so it might be something. Actually, never mind. It's a little bit too weird. I might skip that actually. I just saw Sudoku Cube. Yeah, I'm totally down for that. And then I realized it's not just Sudoku. It's something completely different. I'm like, nope, no, thank you. There's the one I just saw that I had to show Ben though, and it's called The 37th Week.
I saw this when I was looking at them.
Here's a description of it. A real-time VR film experience designed for VR. The 37th week will let you take the place of a fetus hours before birth. You will be immersed in the magnificence of the womb and follow the dialogues that takes place outside. And follow the dialogue that takes outside. I'm like, what? And that's all it is. You're just a fetus, and there's a really creepy picture at the end. I don't know why. It's like a skull baby. Dead baby.
Is it supposed to be a horror game? I also like how the description says a real-time VR experience designed for VR. Like, no shit.
It's like, yeah, I can see that.
Did you know that this game is in VR, by the way? VR exclusive. We like VR. Just, in case you didn't know, it's VR.
VR. But that was really it. There was nothing else. I mean, there was like a Harvest Moon they were bringing onto Steam, but I'm like, I'm not going to pick it up, but I loved Harvest Moon 64. That was the only one I ever played.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a series that people know. It's worth mentioning. There is a new Harvest Moon coming out this month on Steam.
But yeah, that's really it for me as well. I can't much have to say anything else.
Yeah, I'm done. Good episode.
Yeah, nice one. I agree. Enjoyed the puzzles. Try all those games that we mentioned in our top 5. They're all really good.
Yeah. I agree.
Except for Tiny and Big, I haven't finished that one yet, so I can't give a full rating on it, but I'm really excited to get back to it. But definitely pick up all those other ones that we talked about.
Mm-hmm. Join us next week.
Oh yeah, fuck, we're gonna talk about another top 5. Do you got one?
Oh fuck, we didn't think of a top 5.
Can
we think of one really quickly?
Yeah, let's see.
Let's do top 5 coolest main characters.
Okay, I like that.
That sounds cool. Wow,
nice.
That was at the top of my head.
Nice save.
All right.
I knew we were forgetting something. I was driving on the wall, like we were supposed to be doing something. Oh shit, the next top 5.
All right, well fuck. Hopefully we can think of some good stuff between this week and next week.
Top 5's coolest characters. Next week, also probably talking about 7 Days to Die again as well.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.
Peace.